Okay. I'm just going to put you on the main screen, Jess, so you're the starter, and if I can find a way of doing that. Right, has everybody got Jess on the main screen? Just nod your head so I know. There you go, Jess. The floor is yours. You're live in the Big Brother house. Please mind your language.
I should have a big red chair, shouldn't I, really?
Yeah.
Right, brilliant. The main message that we've really got around marketing is that a lot of the moment, what we're seeing is kind of people either sending out the same communication or nothing at all, and it can be difficult to know how to communicate at this time. There can be a lot of guilt around communication, like should we really be trying to sell, try and pretend everything's normal? No, you shouldn't do. So really what I want to talk about is the different ways that you can communicate at this time, or communicate in a crisis, and carry on marketing your company. It does probably take a bit of creativity. So number one, don't stop communicating. People will really remember how you turn up at this point, and that goes for your private life as well. I think you really find out who people are at times of crisis, and some of the people will be supportive and will be remembered for being true to their values, and the other people will be stockpiling loo roll and pasta, and we will know who they are secretly. So a good way to do this is to think about your company values and exactly what it is that, if you've done a value statement and you've created all of your visions before, then you've already probably got that somewhere that you can go and refer to, and to try and be consistent with that. So while you're doing that, you can also think about how it is that your particular customers are suffering at this time. If you have done your personas, then this is going to be a bit easier for you. If you haven't done, then having a quick look through how they might be affected is helpful. What we've done is proactively, for example, go out to clients and ask them how they expect to be affected, how we can help them, how we can be proactive with them, and to help them continue with their business. This is particularly important because Marketeers have got a brilliant cartoon. I'm just going to post it in the overall chat, so hopefully everybody can see that. It's worth clicking on because it's got a few cartoons. One is in particular, I think will probably resonate with everybody. There's one a little bit further down on recession as well, and some other bits. So Marketeers, this is in the chat box, is a brilliant cartoon that is specific to marketing, and they've got. So I think anyone who's a marketer here it will resonate with them. So the different ways that you can communicate. What I don't want you to do is to do what everyone else is doing, as in we're here for you at this difficult time in a very non-specific way, because I, for example, have got quite annoyed at some services where they work completely remotely. I don't have any, they just provide a subscription service to me for PR work, and they've assured me that things are going to carry on as normal, and all I've thought is I should bloody hope so. What have you got to do? So I think kind of those mass mail outs can do damage if it's not actually specific to concerns. I've got enough emails at the moment. I've got enough things to be concerned with. Please support me, or provide something that's supportive. So we've asked how exactly someone is affected, and we've offered a crisis pack, for example, where we can help them write their website statements, emails to go out, and put it up for them, their emails that are going to go out potentially to their clients, and to help them format awesome social media posts. So it's very specific to what we do, rather than asking for them to tell us what we can do to help them. So what particular problems might they have? How can you support them, offer them proactively to do this? It is also an opportunity for companies to really show some personality. So Pret a Manger, for example, has done this by providing particular problems might they have? How can you? Oh, I'm hearing that back. That link doesn't seem to work, you said, Libby. Oh, that's a shame. I'll send it at the end then. It's on Marketeers, but I can always share it on LinkedIn as well. I just had some feedback there, Paul.
Yeah, it was the Facebook. It's the Facebook Live thing. I've just turned the audio off the Facebook Live.
Oh, that's fine. Pret a Manger offered free sandwiches free hot drinks to NHS workers, and then 50% off everything else while they were still open. I imagine that they won't be now. but that will be remembered because I've been supportive of other people. What I've also seen is Charnwood's accountants. They had a brilliant out of office response, or it wasn't out of office actually, it was an auto reply, and it was managing expectations. Marketing you might think of as being what's happening on your websites, what's happening with PR and everything else, but it's every way that you communicate and how you do that consistently throughout the way that you pick up the phone and everything else. So in that situation, you've got an opportunity to manage expectations. Like, we are still open, don't worry, but we might take longer if you've called us, for example, because of the particular setup. There's also a potential to offer proactive guidance. So I know that a few people in the business community network, particularly the accountants, are the ones who found things as they come out and are providing links. I think it was Wendy Tate yesterday who shared a series of links around, which really, those are the kind of things that are remembered because they are specific. They position you as authorities and experts and to be supported. There are also opportunities to have a look at your business model, but it's very difficult to be creative when you're feeling anxious. Anxiety is like the enemy of the enemy of creativity. And at the moment, most people are feeling quite unsettled. So if there is a way for you to reduce your exposure to some of the messages that are everywhere, just so that you have some solid time where you can think about how you can respond in a constructive and proactive way, then you might find your day-to-day life being better. Now this is something that I'm talking about. This is more like a personal kind of what I think personally. So you can take it or leave it, but this is the way that businesses might be able to get through is to think about how they can adapt and actually use this as an opportunity, because if you just panic, then you're going to restrict yourself. There's one other thing in here as well. Oh yes, so what I would do is honour the pain of everybody who you are interacting with. I can't remember who it was the other day. Oh, it was do you know what, it was Lauren. Lauren said, don't just be negative on social, be there with turn it with empathy and listen to people, because everyone's having difficulty at the moment, but you can still find room to be supportive. And then the other thing is, I think it can be tempting with all of the virtual meetings that people are having, and I've seen it a little bit so far, is that people aren't maybe turning up on time in the way that they would do if it was a face-to-face. I've seen this a little bit, and I've seen it a little bit with my family as well, where it's like they never turn up late for coffee in a public place, but for some reason on Zoom they don't want to set up time or something like that. So I think it's being aware there's a whole new guidelines and ways that we're behaving and turning up because it's online. Unless you honestly have a technical problem, I'd do what you can do to honour the time that meetings are set for, because they still have an impact. There's still a way that you're communicating how you respect people's time. I think that those guidelines are going to become more established as time goes on, and people get more used to it. But there's all these touch points that you have, and you might be aware of what the touch points used to be. Like, it might be networking, it might be face-to-face meetings. Now you are going to be so much more reliant on your email signatures, on the way that you communicate in chat and on Zoom, and look at how things like your background, for example, what you can do to improve those touch points that people are still going to have now that they've changed to online versions, now that the parameters have changed. So thank you for sharing that link, by the way, Lauren. Has that now worked? Oh, I think you can download it. So does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to add? Silence.
Hold on, Stephen does. Stephen Church.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. That was great, Jessica. Thank you, and nice to see you. I've got a couple of dilemmas. One is, I think, like most people, I want to help, you know,
Yes.
And I really do. But I think, well, you know, what should the email from Copywriter Pro be? For example, I could perhaps help people word their messages where they're offering support. I could perhaps help word them better for people. And I think, no, but that's going to look like I'm taking advantage of the situation. And part of me thinks, no, I won't do that, because everybody's sending out all kind of messages. How can I help? Perhaps I should just be ordinary, perhaps not send out the coronavirus, how can I help email, but just send out my ordinary ones, just ordinary blogs, ordinary communications, because I'm very keen not to come across as jumping on any bandwagons. Does any of that make sense, Jessica?
It does, because I think that that is a problem or a consideration or a question that most people are, that's what's going through everyone's heads at the moment. I personally think that what you're suggesting there is very specific to what you offer and the concerns of your client, and you're actually not making them do the hard work of figuring out, well, how is it that Stephen can help me, and I've got other things to think about. So I would be very specific. I think this is what we've done. It's along the same lines as what we've done. We've gone out, but we haven't gone out to everybody. We've said to our ongoing clients, this is what we can do to help. Do you want us to go ahead and do this for you? And in most cases, people have gone, yes, please, because I can't cope with that right now. And that's actually really helpful. If I gave them a kind of a general market, and what we will follow up with is kind of marketing tips along these kind of lines, how to know how to communicate moving forward. And I think as things change, we'll continue to send it. But yeah, could you see the marketingist thing, Stephen?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was very funny.
Well, that's exactly the point, where you're just saying, as long as in my opinion, and I think the other marketing boards might have something to say as well about this, as long as it is specific to what you provide, the value that you provide, and the concern that your client has, I think it's bang on the money. Maybe just don't write COVID-19 blah blah blah. Like, it might be, depending on who you talk to, you might suggest a phone call, you might want to follow up with them independently. I think it's how you communicate, so that you aren't just another person emailing saying, oh, we're here for you, which doesn't really mean anything, I don't think.
Okay.
Does that help answer?
Yes.
Okay, Mark Costa's got his hand up, so bear with, hold on. I've lost him, where's he gone? Mark, the floor is yours.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I'm in a similar situation. It's like, well, I'm not a medical expert. I'm not offering a service that can necessarily think of a specific offer. Do I need to have thought of a specific offer to help somebody, whether it's financial or otherwise, but is that something I need to do? Because I have drafted something where it's basically saying about my experience as a remote worker. That's what I do anyway. And so some sort of tips, simple sort of tips that I've learned from other people and things I've done over time that help people who are suddenly being put into that position of working from home, where they're not used to it. They're not used to having distractions, or not used to having no boss behind them doing things and telling them to do stuff and giving them workloads, etc. So I was sort of doing it more from that point of view, because there's nothing that I could immediately think of from a graphics point of view. Do you think that's, from what you were saying, do you think that's too woolly?
No, actually, I don't. I think that's a really good point, because it's been a thing that I have thought about it as well, along the same kind of lines. What to do to keep yourself kind of a mental health thing. I think because it's specific to remote work. However, I haven't pushed forward with that because it's just my opinion. Whereas you are a remote worker and you have been for some time. Yeah. I think that's really supportive, and it is showing wisdom. So although it actually isn't supportive of what you do provide, so it's not the same service that you provide. However, anybody who knows you, Mark, knows you to be a supportive person, and it's definitely reinforces the brand.
Yeah, it's kind of balance it and not appear to be sort of telling people how to suck eggs and being a bit passionate. That's the thing, it's trying to get that balance right. But so you don't think I necessarily need a specific offer, because what I'm doing is having that as an article, and then the rest of the email and other communications I'm going to do around this will be around, because of that, it's business as usual for us. We can still be here, we can still deliver, because we're still doing the same as always. Yeah. And if you have a wide network, so if anyone wants any guidance or connections or can help with any of that, that's where I'm offering. So it's not a specific offer, it's just an offer of extending my network, essentially.
Although I do think there is a specific thing that you can, because you've talked a lot about MailChimp recently, haven't you?
That is one thing I was sort of thinking of doing outwardly, yeah.
I think, for
Outbound
example,
campaign.
I think people's communication, because we can't go and meet in person, like what I was saying, is that what we're used to, or the touch points that we used to have gone, and they have been replaced with email communication. And some people who haven't got an email newsletter might be thinking, well, that's our main way of now.
That is one of the bits I've added in, to say that, that MailChimp's a great way of doing it. You can do it yourself through their templates, but I can help as well, and that sort of thing, So it's one of the things that's in there.
So that, I think that would be a specific,
true,
to this particular problem, as in communicate. And this is what we're talking about with clients. You've got to change how you're communicating with people, to adapt to how they're receiving communications. People might even... One very quick
follow-up to that is just, obviously people are getting their communications out. Is it better to wait and do something more with a bit more thought, or is it a case of capitalizing, getting that message out there as soon as possible so you don't appear to be too quiet, or is there no fixed way of doing it? So
I think it depends on the message. I think making sure that your clients and your regular contacts know that it's business as usual is quite important.
Yeah.
So that they just know that you're there. I think the tips and stuff, I think it's more important for it to be valuable, because like knowing that it's business as usual doesn't take long, and you can't, it's very difficult to do it poorly. Your tips and stuff like that, I think doing it well is more important personally, because that's what
it's mostly done anyway. I just want to tidy it up, but I don't want to rush it out. So it may be something I do. It'll be something I do over the next couple of days. So yeah, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, let's mute him. Anybody else got any specific questions about marketing from your point of view, from your sector, whatever business you're involved in? Anybody? Curtie, you putting your hand up? Not sure. Let's find out. Curtie.
Hi. So basically, I was just going to ask whether I could actually ask this question right at the end, because I know it focuses more on individual professionals rather than business owners.
Right.
So would you rather that I ask it now or at the end?
It might be the end.
Okay.
It depends. I don't know how long the Paul, you were hoping for these things to be about 20 minutes, half an hour anyway, weren't you? They're not supposed to be.
No, there's no set time. Just answer it now.
Okay. So basically, what I'm thinking is professionals at the moment are looking to job search, but they're job searching in the midst of coronavirus. So is it still okay for me to actually still link things like that to the coronavirus, or would you rather?
I think
so. For instance, like the blog that I'm thinking about doing is how to effectively job search during a pandemic, for instance.
Yeah, I think that would be more relevant. I think, for example, what's the word? Upskilling is more important. Is important now more than ever. So what you do, I think, is more valuable for that reason, because people. Are you seeing that people are actually employing at the moment, or?
So essentially, what I'm sort of saying is how to get prepared for when this pandemic is when these things sort of settle, because ultimately I think still people are thinking that that there's a pandemic going on. I don't really need to do anything with my career or whatever else, and actually they do. They still need to get prepared.
Yeah, and there's an opportunity, if anything.
Yeah, there's an opportunity. Yeah.
I have seen this a little bit, and this kind of refers back to what I was saying about anxiety and panic. What I've seen with a few people is where they're like, I'm just not going to do anything for a while, because they feel so unsure. And actually, when you talk to them, they're kind of quite easily persuaded that, oh no, I hadn't thought about it that way, and I could do this instead. What is your position on it, Curtie? I'm not entirely. So you're wanting for them to carry on and keep that momentum and improve their skills?
Yeah. So my position on it is sort of still looking at updating your CV, still looking at updating the LinkedIn profile, still making sure that you're still doing what you can to essentially get the career that you want. Also moving to online networking. So for instance, we're having a chat right now.
Yeah.
You can still online network. So looking at different job searching strategies and things that you can still do now, so that when the pandemic is over, you're in a stronger position.
Yeah, I think because your question is really, should I refer specifically to COVID-19
Yeah.
in my communication? There's different ways of doing it, because what you could say is, without actually saying the words COVID-19, you could be saying you've got an opportunity here and time here to be moving forward, because there's going to be a point where like everybody knows what we're talking about, because they keep on saying at this difficult time, and everybody knows what you're talking about. So you might not necessarily need to say in response to COVID-19, you know, you could say we've got an opportunity while not much is happening with the market. Get prepared for when things do return to normal, whatever normal does look like. Employers are going to want to see adaptive, flexible, creative people who will take on a challenge like this or a problem like this, and will come out on top. And this is, and it is how I feel genuinely. This is an opportunity for the strong to come out on top and to adapt. Does that answer your questions?
It does. Thank you so much.
We actually had a kind of a block on the C word for the afternoon actually on Saturday, and it was quite hard to think of something else to talk about.
People often have to block me on the C word, in fairness. Damien, you have a question. Hold on, let's unmute you. Why can't I, Damien? I think you've muted your own mic.
Myself, yeah, that's cool. Sorry, Joel. Typical of me causing problems. I just want to back up what Jessica's just said. People should be using this as an opportunity. You know, if you can't do your normal work, do your business plan, do your marketing plan. You know, look at the things you normally put to one side, and really focus down on those things while you can't, if and while you can't do your normal job.
All the things that were important but not urgent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm sure Jessica can help a lot of us do that anyway. Oh, you wouldn't do yourself an advert there, Jess, but
thank you very much.
Checks in the post, Damien.
Okay.
Right, Margot's got a question, Jess. Let me just unmute her.
Yeah, I'm finding that I have a fair amount of time on my hands. I'm not traveling to meetings, which is saving me a lot of time. I want to reach out to people and say, well, if they just want to chat, I'm here. How would you do it without being cheesy? Because I'm not particularly looking for anything. It's just that I quite appreciate company. So talking to people, I enjoy it. I love talking about money, about figures. I love that kind of thing. So for me, it'd be a pleasure. Just if anybody just wants to chat, and this is not advertising. I'm not meaning to be advertising. I'm just trying to get your feedback here. If I were to reach out and say, I'm quite happy to offer a consultation, an hour, whatever, however long it takes, to anybody that just wants to talk over the money and the cash flow situation, because people are frightened, and some people are frightened. They're panicking needlessly. I've spoken to a couple of people who are actually in a far better position than they think they are, but they've panicked because they just don't know how long this is going to go on for. So how do I reach out without appearing cheesy and as if I'm after something, which
I think the service that you offer is always valuable, Margot, but particularly now.
No, I know, but if I say I'm giving it free of charge, people might think, what's she wanting in exchange?
I suppose, I mean, as you can see below, we offer a free thing up front anyway, like a free marketing consultation. And as long as you outline the parameters, it's normally taken pretty well. My perspective might be a little bit off because we've always done that, and it's a really good route to market for us. What I do normally add is it gives you the opportunity to get to know me, and for us to get to know each other, and we know if we would work well together if it came to that. But otherwise, I suppose I don't see that as cheesy, so it's really hard to respond to that. You know that I think that the service that you offer is really valuable. All you're doing is being very specific to and speaking out about how concerned people are and how worried they are.
No, I don't think it was. It was just somebody said to me the other day, it sounds a bit cheesy. That's all. So I just wondered what your take on it was. I don't think it's particularly cheesy because I enjoy talking, so it's a bit of a pleasure for me too. But
yeah, no, it isn't good.
You're never going to please all the people all the time, are you?
No.
I wouldn't let one person's views stop you do that. I think anything that any of us are offering to support small business at this time, I think should be received, with a positive view. So I think if you've got something to say, use social media, use your blogging platform, use platforms like this, and just educate people, share stuff, and just do that, I would say.
And also, if you do want to run anything past me, then please do send it over, Margot.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm happy to have a look, and I'm sure that other people here are. Yeah, and I suppose that's the thing, is that there's probably people, that same person probably thinks that what we do is really cheesy as well. Don't care, it's got my business. And normally, and what's funny about it, I get a total kick out of the marketing reviews. Probably the favourite part of my job is when I have a conversation with someone over an hour, and you see the penny drop. They walk out of it with feeling better or having an idea and feeling excited. So, and I know that sounds cheesy, and the marketing person I'm supposed to probably, but it is the truth. And I've set parameters, and I've made sure that it's very clear at what point money might be involved. I think also what you've just said about people have thought they're in a worse position than they are. That's almost written the copy for you. You may not be in as bad a position as you think you are. Because that's the experience that you're already having. So it's just deciding how you writing out that message and then deciding how you can share it. But I think it's a really valuable one. Like, don't hold back your service and the value that you provide to the world.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions, comments? Anybody? If you just put something in the chat box or raise your hand. It did go to Facebook Live, which is what you got a bit of feedback earlier. I've been checking that sort of see whether there's any questions there. None as yet, but giving a little bit more exposure on that. So isn't technology marvelous? So as you know, we've got other sessions coming up, and we've got some people that are online now that are going to be doing those. So incoming, guys, I'm just going to ask you what you're going to be covering in your sort of half an hour of fame later in the week. So Stephen Limbert, do you want to let people know what they can get from tuning in to you?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I'm going to cover off is some of the main questions that my clients have been asking me over the last couple of weeks, particularly that they're concerned about the markets, value of pensions, particularly investments. I'll probably touch maybe some of the protection side of things, because again, I think from a marketing point of view, it could perhaps not land particularly well, but it will just be generally some of the things that people should be thinking about in terms of what they've got and whether they need to change anything or not at this stage, and just generally then see what questions come off the back of it.
And when's your slot? Can you remember when your slot is?
3 o'clock tomorrow, I think.
Okay, so this sort of time tomorrow. Okay, thanks, Stephen. Right, Stephen Church, hold on, let's unmute you. You've got a session later this week, haven't you, Stephen?
Yeah, I think I'm tomorrow at 11, aren't I? I'm not
You
sure.
may well be.
Yeah, and it'll be a blessed relief to everybody concerned. I'm not going to talk about copywriting.
Hurrah!
Isn't that great? I'm going to talk about the role of the Samaritans. Obviously, they have a role during this crisis, and it'll be very much a question and answer role. It's the thing I want to get across more than anything is that Samaritans isn't all about people who are close to taking their own lives. It's about people who are upset, worried, depressed, even feeling a little bit low, even feeling a little bit concerned about how they're going to pay the next utility bill. And it's really to spread the word that Samaritans is 24/7, and that nobody should feel shy or ashamed of phoning. It's totally confidential. And I want anybody who tunes in tomorrow to spread the word about what Samaritans is for and what it isn't for. And very much it's for anybody who's feeling the least bit low, however drastic or just slightly fed up they might be feeling. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. And Margot, you're scheduled to do something on Friday. Do you want to let people know what they can get out of that?
Yes, I'm going to be looking at the way that people can actually do a reality check on their finances, have a look at the cash that's in their business, because as I say, you know, there are a lot of really worried people. Oh God, I've suddenly seen my face. There are quite a lot of people who are quite worried about money, obviously, at the moment, because we just don't know how long this is going to go on for. And they're panicking. And some people have got good reason to be worried, and some people are panicking just because it's a knee-jerk reaction. So how do you work out what your present financial situation is, and just how to sort of plan and strategize going forward to make sure you conserve as much cash as you can.
And you're Friday morning, I think, aren't you?
Morning, 11 o'clock.
Okay, yeah. Great. I'll send all those details out. Where are we now? It says trying to work it. So the last one for today is at 7, and Judith Hanson is going to be joining me, and her expertise is NLP, therapy and mindfulness and stuff like that. So we're going to explore with her stress and anxiety, because I'm sure all of us feel a little bit of anxiousness about the current situation. So she's going to share with you the sort of things that you can put in place as coping mechanisms and what have you. That's 7 o'clock this evening. And like I say, we're running pretty much 3 a day over the coming weeks, just to really get that information out there as quickly as possible so businesses can feel supported. So if you're on this call and you feel that you've got anything that you can contribute and you want to do one of these business bulletin sessions, then just sort of like drop me a message, and we'll see when we can schedule you in. Oh, Damien, I missed you. Damien, you're doing one, aren't you?
I am.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
let people know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it's what technology is available for us to communicate better, stay in touch with people, those with staff, and some of the resources that have been put out there by some of the big boys that we can all take advantage of. And we're all using Zoom now, so you know that's the obvious one. Obviously I won't go into that because we're all using it, but I mean, Zoom, without Zoom, I think we'd all be pretty screwed, wouldn't we, right now? So
I would.
Yeah. So like Google, Microsoft, they've all put some resources out there that can help us all. So I'll share them with everyone tomorrow. Okay,
sorry for missing you out. I spotted you in the end.
That's all right, mate, no worries.
Okay, so thanks again to Jess for giving up some time to contribute. I'm sure if people have got any post questions, they can all sort of get in touch with you and let you know. If you can spread the word to people about these sessions, and if you guys want to attend more, you're obviously more than welcome. It seems to be a little bit, I think everybody on the call today is already a business community member. I'd like to reach out outside of that. So I guess that's through social media and any messaging. So thanks again, Jess. Have you got any final words? But thank you for your time today.
No, thank you. I just want everyone to keep communicating with their, and just adapt to your methods, and keep communicating your values and how you can serve your clients and your audience. That's it.
Perfect. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Maybe see some of you later at 7. If not, we'll be doing these through the week, as you know. So be safe and see you online soon. Ta-ta for now.